Is there something that the government can do right now? Because the task force results will come out in a couple of months. Changing, maintenance will take a while more. So do you think there's anything else that they can do right now to reassure commuters? Or Samuel, from a psychological point of view?
I think maybe your audience might not like it or agree with me, but for most of our journey, I would say like 99% of our time on public transport is smooth, it's reliable, it's affordable, it's comfortable. Right, something that we don't really appreciate enough is, when you go underground, it's still connected to the outside world, right? In some cities, you go underground, the only thing that you can read is probably a book or a newspaper, right? There's no internet connection. So that is how far we have come and how comfortable and how well thought out the public transport system is already. And 99 or maybe even more percent of the time, it works. But we jump on the one, maybe 15 disruptions, right, that happen. So I think the public should also put it into perspective to understand on the broader scheme of things. Most of the time it functions, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we have a good system. To be fair, we have a good system. But the nature of rail, like I mentioned earlier, is that the incidence may be low, but the impact usually is very, very drastic, very adverse. It's to put it bluntly, it's like an air crash, right? Most of the time we fly, nothing happens. But when something happens, the outcome is devastating, right? So we need to actually nail down why there has been a spate breakdowns. It's not very comforting. And when compared to last year, the numbers, like I said, is still fairly high. And despite all the money spent, despite all the renewal of assets, why is this happening? And despite all those condition monitoring, preventive, predictive maintenance, when you throw all that in fact, the incidence should be low. So I wonder, okay, what could be the wildcard? The wildcard, like I said, mentioned earlier, this could be the surge in, or the constant, not surge, but the constant rise in ridership, because people, we have a growing human population, and what's the most convenient way of going about in Singapore? The rail, right? So we have to make sure, we have to make doubly sure that it works. Like I said, there's not different from other cities. Right? There are other alternatives here. Car ownership is only about 1/3, of households. So the other 2/3 rely on public transport, and the most convenient and fastest way is to go by train.
I think when you mention other cities, and Mr. Seah also mentioned it when he was replying in Parliament, it's when we compare, right? The thing about going overseas is that there are other options, right? Or what we call like redundancies. If the train fails, you can have a plan B, plan C, or plan D. But in Singapore, it's not really the case here. Like if the train breaks down halfway, then you get off, you have a bridging service. Or if you're about to get on the train, you like it's broken down for today, then what's the plan, right? So are we playing catch up in that sense, in like preparing for alternatives?
Yeah. So quite some time ago, when the LTA was first formed, their stated ambition was to roll out or to announce one line per year. That means every year they will announce a new rail project. So we found that, that's so exciting. That's so ambitious. I mean, that's the way to go, right? But that didn't happen. Then I wonder what happened, and something must have gone wrong on either the finances or the situation that didn't allow that to happen. In fact, one of the transport ministers, Mr. Yeo Cheow Tong, actually went in Parliament and said that we will have 540 km of rail by, I think, 2030, if my memory serves. But now the target seems to be 360 by 2035 or so. 2030 or 2035. So the rollout of new rail lines seem to have slowed down if we compare to the time when the early days of the LTA formation, I guess that's probably water under the bridge, but we have to live with that now. We don't have the redundancy in the more mature cities, where, I mean, if you look at Tokyo, the rail lines are so dense, one line breaks down, you can just easily hop onto the next one. And of course, other cities, you have the option of buying a car if you are fed up with the public transport system. Cars are not so expensive. And then you may even have the option of, moving out into the suburbs, live a little further away from the city, things are less expensive. And then you make the commute by regional rail into the city to work. So that's the option. I mean, in Singapore, it's very unique. We are city-state. We are island. We don't have hinterland. We don't have the land. So, I mean, our suburbs is actually just
there.
just there, right?
Next door to the city. But,
Yeah.
So it's not an actual apples for apples comparison when we talk about like other cities, right?
No.
But
yeah.
in Singapore, we have to look at it in totality too, right? Like rail is just one mode. Of course, then you have your buses, you have emerging modes, right? For instance, I'm an advocate for active commuting. Right? We do not have to jump on the bus or train every single trip that we have to make, right, on public transport. Walking is a very viable, healthy, cheaper alternative that actually.
I will tell you, will be upsetting some people who'll be like, "Look at the weather.
No,
I cannot
yeah.
walk."
I can
in
tell
this
you,
weather.
there's